what is 20% of 84? Okay, what is 20% of 84? And the way that I like to think about these is to write it as an algebraic expression. So instead of the word what, I write x. And then is, I write equals. So what thing is, and then 20% of 84. So 20%, what would that be as a decimal? 0.2, and then of means multiplication, so times 84. So what is 20% of 84? That's how I read it, and I turn the English into mathematics. Now it's not that bad at all. I do 20% of 84. I'm going to show you a couple ways to do that to make sure that it's nice and easy for you. So one way you can do is just take, again, that 84 times 0.2. And as you multiply, 4 times 2 is the 8. And then 2 times 8 is 16. Where does the decimal point go? Yep, 1 over, so x is 16.8. So that's one way to go about it. Here's another way to go about it. Anybody know what 10% of 84 is? 8.4. So 10% of 84 is 8.4. You just move the decimal point over 1. So does it make sense to you that if 10% of 84 is 8.4, then 20% would be double that? Yeah. So for example, I went out to eat the other day. And I paid, say, $36 for for the meal. Okay. Anybody work as in restaurant? You get tips? What should you give as a tip? What do you think? 10%, 20%, 25%, 15%? Okay, so I like the whole 15% thing. So some people are like, well, how do you figure out 15%? Now they come to you with a little computer where you like put your card in, just has you select like which one you want to give, right? But sometimes 15% isn't the option anymore. But watch how quickly I can do 15% of this. What's 10% of 36? $3.60. That's 10%. So wouldn't 5% be half of that? What's half of 3.6? 1.8, right? So it turns out that 15% is $5.40. Okay? So you can figure out some of those things pretty quickly. But when in doubt, just multiply, carry it through. All right, we try this one. What is 125% of 60? So again, what is, how do I write 125% as a decimal? 1.25. A lot of times people write it as 0.125. They always think that the decimal goes out front. Not always, it just moves 2 places over. Of 60, so it's times 60. So I've got 1.25. I'm going to multiply that by 60. Notice as you multiply the 0, you get 0 all the way across. So the first one, I get 0. And then when I multiply by the 6, I have to drop a 0 first because it's over in the 10 spot, and I multiply. 6 times 5 is 30. Carry the 3. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 3 is 15. Carry the 1. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus 1 is 7. And I add those together, and I get that 7500. Where does the decimal point go? Goes 2 places over, so it's 75. 75 is the correct answer. Okay. Notice that example 3 is different. It's if 5 is 12% of what number? So I'm just going to write it as I see it. 5 is 12% is 0.12 of what number? So times x. Five equals 0.12 times x. If we want to solve that equation, we should divide both sides by 0.12. Divide both sides by 0.12. 5 divided by 0.12 is equal to x. I don't like to divide decimals. Do you remember our rule for dividing decimals? I don't want 0.12 to be a decimal anymore, so I have to move it how many places? 2. So I'm going to move the top 2 places as well. So 5 over 0.12 is the same as 500 over 12. See that? I could probably reduce this a little bit, couldn't I? What are 512 both divisible by? Divide both by 2. I would get 250 over 6. 250 and 6 are both divisible by 2. I could write that as 125 over 3. And if you wanted to come up with a number that doesn't look like that, what you could do is you could take 3 and divide it into 125. Notice how 3 goes into 12 4 times. I get 12. Minus I get 0 and 5. 3 goes into 5 once with a remainder then of 2. So 41 and 2/3. 41 and 2/3. I wouldn't get too worried about a problem like that. Sometimes people are like that. They're like, I don't think I could do that on a test. I try to show you one that's a little bit more difficult that involves multiple pieces. The last one is 10 is what percent of 80? So 10 is what percent of 80? So some percent times 80. So this time we're trying to find the percent. I divide both sides by 80. And I get 10 over 80 is 1/8 is equal to x. Is 1/8 a percent? It's not a percent at all, is it? So to be able to put it into a percent, you would have to be able to divide. We're going to take 8 and divide it into 1. 8 divides into 1 0 times. So I add a 0, and I have to make sure I put my decimal point there. 8 goes into 10 once, and I get 8. When we subtract, I get 2, and I drop the 0. 8 goes into 20 twice. I get 16. Subtract, I get 4. Bring down the 0. 8 goes into 45 times. So there I go. I have 0.125. Is that the answer? The question is, what is the percent? So if I were to write that as a percent, how would you write it? 12.5%. 12.5%. Before we do these 3 right here, why don't you take out your homework? Why don't you start focusing on problems 1 through 6? 1 through 6. Try 3 or 4 of those before we move on to this piece. And let's get some of your questions out of the way and have you guys try a couple of those problems, okay? Okay, so when you get your study guide, without a doubt, if you can do the study guide, you'll be able to do the test. There's no question, okay? I'm going to tell you that problem number 7, you will have that problem on your test, okay? So I'm notorious as a teacher for telling you that you will have something, and then if you don't prepare for it properly, I talk to you about it afterwards. So we're going to have to know how to do that, and the reason why I say that is because a number of people still struggle with that kind of a problem. So our goal is to build up to problem number 7. As we build up to problem number 7, let's look at some easier problems first. It says find the average of the following. Let's just review together. How is it that you find the average? Add them all up. So 4 plus 3 plus 10 plus 9 plus 12. And then I divide by the number of things that I added. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 things that I added. And addition is pretty nice. We got 4 and 3 is 7. 10 is 17. 9 is 26. 26 plus 12, 38. 38 over 5. Now, you could leave your answer like that. I give you credit, but another way to maybe write it is 5 goes into 38 how many times? 7 with a remainder of 3, right? So 7 and 3/5. Let's assess the reasonableness of our answer, okay? Does it look like 7 and 3/5 could possibly be the average of that? Yeah. Suppose my answer wasn't 7 and 3/5. Suppose I came up with 13. Could that possibly be the average of that data? Absolutely not. Is it possible that I could come up with 2 being the average of that data? Absolutely not. So please make sure that you check your answers in ways to try to see is it reasonable. Okay, that looks like it's reasonable. So 7 and 3/5, otherwise known as 7.6, is the answer. Okay. All right, let's try 2 that are just slightly more difficult. It says the average of 5 numbers is 12.2. What is the sum of the 5 numbers? So I'm going to take an equation. What we do to find an average is we take the sum and we divide it by the number of things that we add, and we get the average. Everybody okay with us using that as a basic representation of what average means? So as I just put things in for that equation, I don't know the sum. It says what is the sum? So I just write S. Divided by how many numbers are we adding up? 5. Equals, then what is the average? 12.2. So if I want to solve an equation like that, what should I do to both sides? Multiply by 5. So the sum will equal 12.2 times 5. So if we multiply that out, we should be good to go. 5 times 2 is 10. I carry the 1. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 1 is 11. Carry the 1. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 1 is 6. Where does the decimal point go? Behind the 1. So 61 is the sum. So that should help you do problem number 7. And problem number 7 is a problem you're going to get on the test. And I like this problem because you guys can actually make use of this sort of thing. This is a problem I see almost all the time on every ACT practice exam, and it's something that I use in my own life. Not just because I'm a teacher, but for other examples. Joe wants an average of 80 or better on his test. Why does he want an average of 80? He wants a B- or better, right? Do your parents kind of have bottom line marks for you? If you get below that, then you're in trouble? Yeah, I hear it all the time at conferences. Funny. All right, so wants a B- or better. His current test scores are 60. Uh-oh, didn't go too well, right? Got grounded after that one. Then got a 76. Got off grounding, but got his phone taken away. Then he got a 98. Sitting pretty good, right? It's like, well, shoot, I got to make sure I get an 80. What do I have to get on my last test? So what does he need on his fourth test to average an 80? Well, we don't know the fourth test. Like that's like the X thing that we're trying to solve. So we're going to use our formula, sum over the number is equal to the average. Well, the sum is going to be 60 plus 76 plus 98 plus what? X. Yeah, that last test. We don't know what that is. Okay? Divided by how many tests will he have taken at that point? 4, and that's going to equal 80. So we need to solve that. Now I know that there's a lot of numbers here, but we don't have to worry too much about all those numbers. What's the first step to solving this? What can we do to both sides? Multiply by 4. And we get, and I'm going to take out my calculator, and I'll allow you to use your calculator on this part of the test. I just don't want to let you use it on some of the basic computation we should be able to do. And I'll show you that more clearly on your study guide when you get that. So if you have a calculator, go ahead and take it out. I know most of you guys use your phone. Oh, I've got it right there. There it is. Could use that. Oh, that's a lot of stuff. Okay, so where is it? It's right here. Take out my calculator. There we go. And I'm going to add those up. I've got 60 and 76 and 98. And I get a grand total of 234. So 234 plus X over 4 is equal to 80. You guys said I should multiply both sides by 4. So I get 234 plus X is equal to 320. Because 4 times 80 is 320. And now what do? You just subtract the 234 from both sides, right? Minus 234. Minus 234. X is you take 320 minus 234. I think you get 86. 86. So, is it possible he could score that 86? Sure. Suppose he came up with X is equal to 109. Is he happy or sad at that point? He's sad because he ain't scoring 109, right? Like, we're not doing over 100%. And if he came up with 20, then he's really happy. He's like, boy, all I have to do is get 20%. And I end up with a B minus. But he's got to get an 86, so he's got to do decent. So 86 is our answer. Now, this is on your homework. It's also on your study guide, and it'll be on your test. So you do have 2 opportunities to practice it here. We want to make sure that you can get that. Okay. Now, just to review before you guys work on this and then head on your way, true or false, there are no retakes in my class. False. You retake any test you want up to a grade of an 80%. So if you don't do well on a test, if you pull an old 12% on a test, just retake it. There's no worries, okay? My goal is not to try to make this class punitive where it's like, oh my gosh, how can I pass this class? You guys, I want to reward you for taking a math class your senior year. And I want to just help you learn and review the things that you want to do. If you don't do well, fine, we'll just redo it. Simple as that. Like, I just want to cooperate and graduate, right? Like, before you know it, we're going to be in the middle of prom and summer and all sorts of stuff. Let's just enjoy the ride along the way. So go ahead and try a couple of those problems. You're going to see the answer key posted right there.